Well, I'm now joined by Faith Goldy from the Rebel Media, and she's actually about to set me straight on an issue. I thought that the angle was we were kicking all of our illegals out of this country. People were fleeing this country because they knew that they weren't going to be able to live off the state anymore. Their sanctuary cities were about to be defunded, so they were fleeing to Canada. This became a major border crisis. Well, Faith has actually been on the border covering this on the ground. She's got the truth. You're telling me there might be a different angle here.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So I've been to and fro several different illegal border entry points all across this southern borderland with the United States over here, which, by the way, is the longest undefended border in the entire world. There's nothing there for the most part. And I've talked to these so-called refugees, guys and gals, most of them guys from all over the world, places like Saudi Arabia, Eritrea, Sudan, Haiti, and I'd say that there's a mixture. While the mainstream media by and large is telling you that all of these guys, they're leaving big scary President Trump, some of them who have been in the United States illegally are leaving because they do imagine that there is an ICE clamp down. They do see, Donald Trump doing things that presidents should, which is enforce borders. But there's another cohort of people who are coming through the United States through mostly human trafficking rings or through known pathways, essentially, from these other jurisdictions just because they've received our post-nationalist, pro-globalist prime minister's call, which is basically Canada's open for business. You don't need to deal with our border agents. You don't need to go through screening, and you sure as heck don't need the paperwork. Just walk right into our country, and we're happy to have our federal agents act as your bellhops and carry your very expensive and intact luggage.
Well, no, and that's absolutely key because now it's draining your guys' infrastructure, and you've got problems where you've got these camps where they're supposed to be all these asylum seekers are overflowed. They don't know what to do. So now they're sending them to schools. They're sending troops to the border. It's becoming out of control, but you're saying Justin Trudeau has no interest in trying to calm it down?
Oh, and honey, he is on vacation right now. He does not care. Well, while I was down there, so about 4 months ago at this one particular border crossing, it was about 15 people per a day. Now, 4 months later, it's 15 people per an hour. All this mad woman math over here was me trying to figure out how many that comes out to.
We can only assume that math is right. I haven't checked those numbers.
We're talking over 100,000 people per year through one border crossing alone. And remember, our population is much smaller than the United States. We're at 35 million people in total. We have over 300,000 legal immigrants who come here. We have over 40,000 people who come in here just from our regular refugee programs. And now you're telling me that an additional 100,000 per a year, roughly, give or take, from just one street.
Well, and that's on the books. That's just on the books.
Yep. It's insane what's happening right now. But this is so what I think would be interesting to your audience is the fact that our Prime Minister, self-styled feminist Justin Trudeau, has gone to bed in a very public way with George Soros, specifically his Open Society Foundation. They held a joint meeting with Immigration Canada on the letterhead alongside Open Society Foundation on the topic of refugees in Canada, both of which decided, hand in hand, what we're going to do is bring more people, bring the third world into this welfare state that exists. So Justin Trudeau has said that he is a post-nationalist. He believes in a post-national world. He is the globalist poster boy, and he is literally turning an amazing country with so many beautiful resources, good people, and an excellent system to make sure that the least well-off in society are indeed cared for. He's turning that on its head, and he is exploiting it for people who essentially are opportunists who are looking to come here.
Yeah, but that's what all the multicolored hair unicorns from Canada want, so I don't understand why that's a big deal. No, but for real though, the first thing that comes to my head when I think about this, and I'm just curious if anybody has addressed this in Canada, Canada is a little bit different than Europe or than the United States in that a lot of Canada is really uninhabited or cold, forests. So where are these people going to go? They're going to go right to your inner cities, folks. They're going to go right to your city.
Yep. You got that 100% right. Look, Canada right now, in comparison to any other country in the entire world, is facing the quickest rate of ethnic change. Most of our cities are already, majority minority. There is a massive demographic shift that has already occurring, and that basically within less than a century, we're looking at a toppling of demographics, a literal headstand. But this is if we keep along, the usual pace. We have now accelerated everything, and you are 100% right in saying that these people are all moving to our big cities. That's great. Yeah, we've got a lot of icebergs up here. We've got a lot of, forests, but these people aren't going to be setting up little shanty towns and lean-tos and teepees in our forests. They are going to be moving where they already are, which is inside our hotels, our government housing, and immersing within, shall I say, regular Canadian society. And what that is leading to, besides, from a racial standpoint, something that many demographers would call white flight, but it's leading to Canadian parent cultures fleeing the cities because they say, well, I don't want to be here anymore. What were once the slums at the periphery of our cities, the east and west, are now creeping inwards and inwards. And I work hard for my money. I pay my taxes. I'm a good person. And sorry, I just don't want to raise my kids here anymore. And it's happening to many of our larger suburbs, and it's now happening to our bigger cities. This is an absolute inversion of organic growth and change. I'm not against change in societies. It's just they should be happening at a slower and natural pace. That's not what this is. It's a manufactured crisis. And our prime minister is off right now on our left coast twiddling his thumb with his wife and children on the taxpayer's dollar, as opposed to actually tending to his border, which he, without mandate, has erased.
Well, that's when he's not getting completely embarrassed and shunned at the G20 summit when he had no idea what he was doing there. But, I don't think that they think ahead. I mean, again, I want to go back to this school issue. So now you've got all of these school boards that are working to create space in the classroom for these newly arriving asylum seekers, these newly arriving refugees, newly arriving migrants, however you want to phrase it. But they don't think about what this is doing to the classroom. They don't think about the damage that this does to the classroom. Look, I'm not against these kids getting educated. I'm sad that these kids, are perhaps coming from a third world where they don't have first-class education. But you have to understand, when you dilapidate first world education with this, it just brings it down. How can you expect a young kid in a classroom to have all these new things being thrown at them, the teacher saying, hey, these are these people, they may not know your language, this, that, the other thing. How can they focus on work? How can they learn anything?
Right, absolutely. Look, I get it. My heart breaks too when I see a little baby from wherever they are in any sort of pain or need. I will say that with an asterisk, I'm not convinced that all these people are indeed in need. But that all being said, emotion has no place in public policy. When you're talking about the school issue, I'm so happy that you brought that up. A few different things. First of all, these self-styled refugees, not ones that we chose, ones that have just decidedly walked into our country, or unlike, say, our usual immigrants. Our immigrants come to this country based on a points system. We choose them because they are educated. We choose them because they can contribute, perhaps because they have at least one of our two official languages, right? These people, we don't know what the heck they're bringing. But quite apart from that, what we do know is that when it comes to our Syrian refugees, the ones that we did choose from a war zone, what we have seen—
Which, by the way, Syrian refugee just arrested in Germany for a war crime. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. And that's actually lock and step with what we found here. The Rebel.media, I did several reports, exclusive reports that no one else wanted to touch, based on email transactions between school boards and teachers on the ground of how these Syrian refugee children are integrating within our schools. And Owen, for a second, let me tell you what we found. We found boys and girls asking for segregation in the classroom. We saw them celebrating the Brussels bombings. We saw sexual harassment. We saw little boys choking Canadian boys with chains. We saw them telling teachers that because they didn't believe in Allah, that they deserved to die. I am missing so much, but the scale at which the integration is simply not happening is alarming. Why? Not because it's impossible, but because it is just, we're not equipped right now. We need more money and resources, but instead we're putting the cart before the horse.
Faith, are you guys, is the Rebel, are you a voice in the wind out there? Are you guys a voice alone out there? Does anybody else feel that this is an issue? 20 seconds.
The people are with us, but the mainstream would rather turn a blind eye. And I'll tell you, that's why their numbers are decreasing and why we have over 850,000 subscribers on YouTube. Check it out.
850,000 people. Hey, do the math on your board. All right. You can subtract however many they have versus you have, and you can see that's how much more you have. Faith Goldy, she's breaking all this down, folks. We're closing our borders. We want a country. Canada and Justin Trudeau, they'd rather have unicorn rainbow socks.
As most of you already know, I am a voracious consumer of news and information. And in the last 4 or 5 years, doing more and more research, I came across the fact that the elite, the establishment, the science community is fully aware of the fact that our ancient ancestors, in many cases, had much better nutrition than we do today. And our ancient ancestors sought out the bones of the animals that they were hunting, killing, and then processing, and that they went for the bones first, knowing that they were full of the vital essence in the marrow, but also in the bone structure itself. And so I set out working with the top formulator in the country to develop Caveman, but to not just have concentrated bone broth from chicken, but 7 other superfood ingredients known for cleansing and supercharging the body. InfoWars isn't just fighting the globalist. We're getting results, and we're expanding in the face of the complete media assault and winning because of your support, because of you praying for the broadcast, because of you buying the products and financially supporting the transmissions. So please secure your Caveman today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.